and we have lots and lots of questions. First question is,
Hello?
Hello.
Why did you move city a lot?
Very good question. Interesting question. Okay, why did I move a lot? Because I could. Because I was able to move a lot. And when I moved, it was all by myself. When you're alone, when you're not married, you don't have any kids. I had one dog. So we moved around together. I had a border collie. Do you know collie? Like collie, a dog breed, collie, border collie. The black and white is a frisbee dog. Sheep herding dog. They herd sheep. But anyway, I had a dog in Florida, so we moved around together. We moved from Florida to Dallas to Phoenix, and Phoenix to back to Dallas. Because I worked in hotel, they move people around a lot. So when I lived in Dallas, they moved me to Phoenix, and then Phoenix back to Dallas. So that's the move I made because of my work. And New York to Florida is because you know what happened in New York. So it's like, yeah, I love New York. I do love New York. But after being there for 9/11, like I wanted to just get away, and then I found a city. So just live in different cities. It's just very interesting. I mean, it's just like because you can move, you move. It's easy thing. I mean, you just pack up and leave. And the way I got my job in Dallas, it's one weekend I flew to Dallas and I knocked on the door of Hyatt. Like I went to the hotel and I said, "Oh, I'm looking for a job. I got my MBA in hospitality management. Can someone give me a job?" Basically, that's what I did. Like I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone in Dallas. I mean, when I moved to Florida, it's the same thing. I didn't know anyone. So when I moved to Dallas, I mean, that's what I did. And the director of HR met me. The person who's hiring, like he met me. I got so lucky. And he met me and he gave me a 3-hour interview. Like he gave me a 3-hour interview and then he hired me like right there. Like I'm very bold. I have this very aggressive and bold character. Like you can kind of see that like you put me in the world, anywhere in the world, and I can kind of survive. I mean, don't you think I can kind of do that? Yeah, I have that character. So that's why I moved around a lot. I wanted to experience all kinds of things, and that's the reason.
hello.
Hi.
Why your goal is to get private airplane license?
It's just one of my things that I wanted to do. It's just one of the things to do. So it's just random things. It's just like I need to read 100 books per year, that kind of thing. It's like my bucket list. And flying, oh gosh, it's so much fun. It's just a different kind of view that you can see from the airplane. You have so much freedom. It's like you should definitely try. You should all try flying on an airplane. Okay, it's just an amazing experience, and especially when you're in Florida, you fly over Atlantic Ocean. Can you imagine, like Atlantic Ocean? It's kind of dangerous, yes. If you fall, like you're totally drop dead. But yeah, it's just one of the things that I wanted to do.
I have a question. Where is the good place to travel in New York?
Where is a good place to
Travel in New York.
New York? Okay, New York. Just everywhere in Manhattan that I kind of covered, it's a good place. But you can kind of search my blog, neighbor blog. Has a list of places that you can go, but my love is downtown New York. So like Soho, Village, that area. It's just fun place to go, especially when you're young. Just like around my school, just hang out around my school, and you'll have a lot of fun. And even just hang out around the NYU area, it's just it's like you can see so many things. And the best time to visit New York, to be honest, yes, Christmas is great. Yes, I do love Christmas in New York, but it's freezing. It's really, really cold. Like, New York is a city that you have to walk around a lot. Like, you just have to walk around everywhere. And imagine, it's freezing outside and walking around a lot. It's just not that much fun. So the best time to visit is like May or June. Because May or June, that's the time that street fair starts. Like, they block certain parts of the streets of Manhattan, and then they have all kinds of street vendors. Like, all kinds of food, all kinds of like clothes, like accessories. You can see all these things every weekend. Do you know how much fun that is? Like, for me, that's a lot of fun because there's no, like, not that many 시장. Like, I love Yukori 시장 here because in America, like, you don't really see that kind of market. But in New York, in Manhattan, around May or June, the street fairs start. So every weekend, they just block the streets and then they have all kinds of things. So definitely like visit around May or June, okay?
My question is, why did you start playing the violin?
I don't know, I started like when I was 5. It was not really my choice, it was my parents' choice. And I'm an only child, so they really made me do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. And that's one of the things that they made me to do. Yeah, so I played the violin very little, when I was very little, yeah.
How many cities have you been?
In the US? Oh, I cannot really count. I traveled a lot. I lived in 5 cities, but when I was in America, I traveled many cities because I have relatives. I have a lot of friends, relatives in Boston, all of the cities in California, and then like Chicago for business trips. I cannot really count. I've traveled so many, and I traveled by airplane and also like by car. Like I drove from New York to like Kansas City, and then Kansas City to like down to Texas, and just a lot.
Yeah, that's all. And again, thank you for your impressive lecture. And actually, I've once been to New York, but since it was a group traveling, I didn't experience as many things as I wanted. So as you introduced to us many good places to travel in New York, I wanted to visit New York if someday in the future.
Very good.
Thank you.
You can call me, and I'll give you some pointers.
So hello, we're the one, and I'm chair of the one, Q&A편. In group discussion, we talk about why do we study English and why do we learn Korean languages. We also talk about New York City. And we prepared 2 questions.
Okay.
I watched New York is many movies background.
Yeah.
I watched many movies about, for example, Avengers.
Avengers, yes.
But there's no convenience store, so I'm always curious why are not convenient store in Europe?
Okay. Great question. Great question. Okay. Why are there not that many convenience stores? There are convenience stores. They're just called different names. Okay. It's called deli. They call it deli, and most of the delis are owned by Koreans. So a lot of Koreans immigrate to New York, And because a lot of them, they have hard time speaking English, they open a deli. So it's a store with, it's just like a convenience store, but it's not a chain. It's just like every building has a convenience store, deli. Deli has sandwiches, salads, and they have like all kinds of snacks that you can get from a convenience store. So they don't have these kind of chains, but they have these things called deli. And most of the delis that you just walk in, it looks like a small, tiny, like local 동네 마트. It feels like that. When you go in there, like if they're Asians, you can start speaking Korean because 90% of the time they're Koreans. And the big building I lived in, I show you the picture. The apartment building I lived in, it's 160 Bleecker Street. It's in West Village. When I lived there, inside a big building, there was a deli also, and that was owned by Korean. So that was the only time I spoke Korean. I was able to speak Korean to him, so that was kind of nice. Yeah.
What do you study? What do you learn in MBA course?
What did I learn in my MBA course? I studied hospitality management and minored in marketing. So it's about running a company. I did a lot of case studies, case study analysis. So I learned all kinds of things like statistics and mathematics and like how to run a company. Basically, MBA is like it's 한국말로 경영학 석사. So you learn about how to make a store better or make a company better. So we would read a lot of Harvard business reviews and read them and analyze why this particular company did not do well and how we can make it better. So those kind of things are the main things I've learned. So that was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answer and your lecture.
Great, thank you. Thank you for a great question.
We are grade 6 and I'm tutor Lee
Hi.
And first I was really impressed in your lecture, especially your lecture made me think about Korean people's manners and reflect on my past behaviors. Thank you. And we have 3 questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Since you're from Korea, was there any distinction when you were in US?
Was there any distinctions because I'm from Korea? Like, what do you mean by that? What do you can you kind of give me further? What do you mean? Like, in what way? In what way? Like discrimination? Like, you can say it in Korean. I will understand.
차별을 보는 건가요?
Discrimination? Oh, okay. Oh gosh, yes. So I left here like 10th grade, right? So I left here when I was 15, and when I went there, it's Kansas City, Missouri. So Kansas City, Missouri, there are not that many Koreans. In the whole school, I was one and only Korean. Everyone's Caucasian. Caucasian means white. Like you see like full, all American people, and I'm basically one and only Korean. There was one more Korean, but she was adopted. So she doesn't speak a word in Korean. And then, yeah, I got made fun of. I got made fun of a lot because my math, like when I was in Korea, I didn't do math well, mathematics. well. I was more into like Korean and English language. But when I went there, I don't really speak English that much. But then I started speaking a lot. I took like pre-calculus. Pre-calculus is pretty high level mathematics. So the students, my friends, they were very baffled because I don't really speak English, but then I took really higher level math. So they kind of made fun of me. Like in America, certain people, they make fun of like people who study well. So if you are too, I don't know, I don't really think of myself smart, but if you're smart and if you are always top of the class kind of thing, they kind of make fun of you. So I don't really speak English well, and then I took that kind of math, and then I was a concert master at the orchestra. You know, like as soon as I got there, I was the concert master. I played the violin well. I mean, that's one thing that I did really well. So I was concert master, so people kind of started making fun of me. So yes, there was discrimination, and a lot of people, like, they've never seen a Korean. So when you go overseas, they will ask you this. For us, it's so normal. Like North Koreans, they cannot really get out of the country, so you don't really see North Korean. But then when you see Americans, they will say, oh, when you see, like when you go overseas, they will ask you, where are you from? Then you will say, oh, I'm from Korea. And the next question, do you know what the next question would be? Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? See? Yeah, they will ask you, are you from South or North? 99% of the time, they will always ask you. So, the people really don't know. This is what I'm saying. People, you need to study hard. You need to study English. You need to get out. You need to get out of this country and kind of let everyone know what Koreans can do. Okay? You have bright future. You really need to study hard and kind of let everyone knows what Koreans can do. Okay? Like you have to make people stop asking, are you from North or South? Okay? South Koreans rule. We can do things. We can do a lot of things. You have bright futures, okay? So yeah, I got discriminated, but they were very nice. Like the principal and all the teachers were very nice because I didn't speak English that well as soon as I got there. So they're very nice people, but there are not because there are not that many Koreans there. It was very hard, but they were very supportive. Like all the faculties and like all the teachers and just everyone there was just like most of the people I met, they were very nice. So it was tolerable.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Where was your favorite city that you have ever went?
Visiting or living?
Leaving.
Living? My favorite city. I mean, I do have to say New York. New York is very expensive. It's a very expensive city. Like if I ever go back, probably my salary should be just ridiculously high. And the apartments I lived in when I was at NYU, so this is like 20 years ago, the apartment I lived in, the monthly rent was $1,600. Do you know $1,600? How much would that be in Korean won? 180만 원. So like 20 years ago, my rent was 180만 원. My monthly rent. So nowadays, I mean, I do love New York, but probably living in New York will be very hard. But it's the most exciting city. I've been to Paris, I've been to London, I've been to like Germany, many cities in Europe, but definitely New York is the most fun city. It just has a lot to offer, a lot to eat. I mean, definitely you will gain a lot of weight, when you visit New York because you will have to eat a lot of different food. But yeah, it's just so exciting. And you see all these like movie stars, like celebrities, they walk around. They walk around New York. I sat next to Julianne Moore in a subway. Julianne Moore, the actress. Okay, probably not my name. So like celebrities, it's just a very exciting city. You definitely have to visit. It's like the most exciting city.
Thank you. When did you start playing violin?
I started playing the violin. Of course, I told you before, like not my own will, but I started when I was 5 years old from like Yuchuan. I went to Cheongju Yucheon, and that's where I started playing the violin.
Thank you for your lecture and answering again.
Thank you.
Hi, we're group 4, and I'm tutor Siam. And thank you for your interesting lecture today, and especially the tips that you gave us. They were so useful that one day I want to visit New York City and actually use them. Like, thank you so much.
Awesome.
And here are a few questions that we have.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Yejumo, and
Are you the one from Sanamgo?
Yes.
Okay, say hello to my teacher. Thanks.
Yeah, I think we learn English because it is common language, so we can get a lot of opportunity when we are good at English. And I love English, so I want to study in America, but it's difficult, so I decided to go America as exchange student.
Very good. Very good.
And after listening your lecture, my desire to go America increased.
Oh, nice.
And my question is, how did you move to America alone without parents? And I want to know course.
Course? What
Yes.
is course? How I got there. I mean, I told you like I didn't want to live in Japan, but my parents said they're going to Japan. I'm like, okay, so you go, and then I'll go to America. And then the reason I went to Kansas City, Missouri, is because my aunt and uncle lived there. So I lived with my aunt and uncle until I was able to live by myself. So yeah, I was with my aunt and uncle.
Thank you.
I heard that you have been to like many countries and all over the US. And I think that you have been to LA in
yeah.
California.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So in my experience in LA, I thought like, I think LA is a great city.
Uh-huh.
And they have like many colleges you can go to.
Mhm.
So why didn't you stay in LA?
Oh, why didn't I go to LA? I don't know. I have a lot of cousins. I have relatives in LA and California area as well. But somehow I was not really attracted to LA because California, you have to drive around. So it's not just walking around. I mean, you can, some parts of the places that you can walk around, but I don't know. Just I went to New York and I have some relatives there, but not because of that, but I like the northeast area. The whole Boston, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, that area I really liked. Although, after being there many years, I kind of regretted some part of it because in wintertime, it's brutal. It's really, really cold. It's much worse than here. It snows a lot. Airplanes get canceled all the time because of the snow. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different feel to it. New York is much more fast. Like people talk faster. You definitely have to learn English really, really well in order to understand the New Yorker talk. And when I lived in New York, I talked much faster. So like everything's fast paced. They walk fast, they talk fast, they eat fast. Everything's fast. So just for me, New York was just better. And LA is a little bit more laid back. And there are a lot of Koreans. I mean, I think even more than New York. But yeah, so it's just a different feel.
What difficulties do you have living in New York City?
What kind of difficulties I had living in New
York.
New York? Yeah. New York City? Difficulties?
Like the culture is different with Korea, so
the whole American culture is very different. But difficulties is something that you can overcome. when you're young, you can adapt to things easily. So when you're in New York, I mean, you guys are young. You have to all become like chameleons. So when you go to New York, you adapt to a New York lifestyle. When you go to LA, you adapt to LA lifestyle. So when I lived in New York, I never even thought of difficulties at all. I don't know. Like my parents always told me, when you're in America, don't hang out with Koreans. One thing I want to tell you, this. When you decide to study in the US, do not hang out with Koreans. I'm sorry, like don't. Because if you start hanging out with Koreans, then you learn more Korean. You go to the United States to learn English and kind of experience the American culture. But always, I mean, I love Koreans. I'm Korean too. But hanging out with Koreans, like, you're just not gonna get anywhere, okay? Just try to just hang out with as many foreigners and also Americans as possible, and to learn just everything about America. So, did I answer your question? Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, we are group 3, and I'm the tutor Hwang Sung-woo. And we wrote series that you were lived in America, and we wrote interesting things in each series. And we have 3 questions.
Hello. Hi. And the first question, someone asked it already, so can I ask another question? Sure. So, were you missing your parents when you're with your aunt and your uncle?
Yeah. Of course I did. Yeah, I miss my parents. I miss my home. I got homesick, and in the beginning, I was like one and only Korean at my high school. But later on, like about 6 months or a year later, like a few more Korean students came, and you know, it was kind of nice. But those 2 of them came later on. They all dropped out and went back, because you have to think about this. When you want to study abroad, you're leaving your family behind. You're there all by yourself, okay? You get homesick. You cry every night. It's really, really sad. Like I cried, oh gosh, I cried every night. It's really, really sad. But you have to overcome it, because of your future. You can get to better places. Like if you are comfortable with your situation, that's not really good. You're not really challenging yourself. You need to challenge yourself every day, okay? So yes, I miss my parents. I visited my parents, so I went to Japan twice a year. My parents live in Osaka, so I went to Japan twice a year, but that's not enough. Like when you leave your parents, like you miss them all the time, and you cry, and then you get homesick, but we all have to go through it. People do not overcome these difficulties, cannot survive. So the other 2 came later on. They all went back without finishing college. So if you decide to study abroad, you have to really have a strong mind inside you. If you have a goal, you have to get to the goal. So do not drop out. Do not give up, okay? Get to the top and finish it. Like you will get homesick, you will cry every night. Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. You have to overcome it. So yes, I miss my parents.
I didn't explain violin.
One more time, I'm sorry.
Why did you stop playing violin?
Oh, why did I stop playing the violin? So, because I played the violin since I was 5, my whole life was classical music, violin. I practiced, like, when I was in high school, I practiced the violin probably 8 to 10 hours a day. So I had no life. I had no life. I had no boyfriend. I had no boyfriend. I had no time to hang out with my friends. All my life, every single moment was playing the violin. So I was really sick and tired of it. But I got full scholarship. So I didn't have to pay a penny to the college that I got the scholarship from. I got many scholarships from many different universities for playing the violin. So if I were to major in violin, my parents don't have to pay anything. But I wanted to change something. I was in a free country. I'm in America. It's a free country. I can do whatever I want. So my parents put in a lot of money making me a violinist. I mean, it's a lot of money. But one summer, I went to Yale summer school. Do you know Yale University? Yeah.
Yes.
I went to Yale summer school. And I took a class, non-fiction workshop. It's an English course. So I took the course and I started writing about my story. And I suddenly wanted to become a writer. So suddenly, like, I wanted to stop playing the violin and I wanted to become a writer. So that's when I decided to major in English literature. I mean, I always loved the language. I really, really loved the language. So I wanted to really do something else and I wanted to study. And my father was really happy because my father, he was a professor at Chungbuk University and he's a scholar. So he wanted, like, you know, I'm an only child. So my mom and my dad has only one child to kind of do whatever they want to do. My mom wanted me to become a violinist. My dad, on the other hand, wanted me to study and become a scholar. So when I told my dad that I wanted to study and major in English literature, he was ecstatic. He was so happy. It's like, oh my God, finally, my daughter, I can do something with my daughter. Because he has so many books that he wanted to give it to me, so that was that. Did I answer the question?
What is your job in Korea right now?
Okay, what do I do here? Okay, I told you that I was workaholic, right? Okay, so I was a workaholic. I worked to death, basically. That's what I did. It's just kind of part of my personality. So I worked so much to the point that I got really sick. So a year and a half ago, I came here and I realized that I was sick. So I gave my, my notice and I quit my job via email. I sent an email like telling people, I was like, okay, I have to quit my job. And then, so that's why I'm here. I was not really healthy. I worked too much. I was too driven. So one thing that I wanted to give you an advice that you kind of have to control yourself, not go overboard. So here, what I do is I teach English just one-on-one, and also other things I do is I do social media marketing. So I volunteer to like restaurants and like some businesses that they don't do well. I go there and kind of help them how they can use SNS marketing to improve the company. So I teach mostly Instagram. So you can all follow me on Instagram. It's do you want the ID? Do you want to follow me? It's MYDORIKAMU. My Dorikamu. Dorikamu means dreams come true. So it's MY Dorikamu. So anyway, you can follow me. So what I do is I go to these places that don't do well, like restaurants or like some of the businesses, and I help them to do better by using their SNS marketing, such as like neighbor blogs, and Facebook and Instagram, but mostly like Instagram marketing. So that's what I do. I do volunteer work.
Thank you for answering our questions, and we enjoyed your lecture. In your lecture, I learned I should prepare perfectly when I travel to Manhattan. And we will keep in mind oral manners that you said. Thank you for your lecture.
Thank you.
Hi, we're Group 5 and I'm tutor of Group 5. Actually, there were 3 more people, but they had to go first, so just 2 of us. And we wrote about your stories that you lead and some special features of those cities. And actually, there are 5 questions, but they just will ask you 2 questions. And first one is mine. Was there any trauma or any difficult things after 9/11?
Oh yeah, too many. It was traumatic experience. I wasn't able to fly. Like I did not go on a plane for at least I think like 6-7 months. And when I moved to Florida, I made sure that there's no airplane path on top of me. So I didn't have to hear the airplane. So it was, I think it was like 6-7 months at least like that. I got really, really scared by just hearing like airplanes go by. But then, I passed. And then the United States, like it has a lot of good organizations that helped all the people who got affected by 9/11. So when that happened, like I wasn't able to go back to my home for a couple weeks, and then when I went back, it was just like filled with it was just scary. It's like a war zone. You smell like dead people. You smell like, just horrible things. So yeah, there was a lot of trauma.
Well, why did you came back to Korea? You already answered the question. I want to ask you, why was Korea not Japan or other countries?
Why not other countries, but why did I choose America? Why did I come to Korea instead of Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because the timing worked perfectly. My father is 84 years old now, but he's still very active. Like he still works. And he finally retired about 2 years ago. So they were thinking of moving back to Korea, but they still live half and half. So my parents live like half of the time in Osaka, our home in Osaka, and half of the time here. But so a year and a half ago when I came here, and when I realized that I was not really feeling well, they decided that they will stay here. So to be honest, I don't know. This is my home. This is my home. Although I was in America for much longer time, and sometimes it's so frustrating not being able to speak English here because there are not that many English speakers. It gets so frustrating because I have to kind of think twice to speak in Korean sometimes. It's a little bit harder. So it's that, but I do love this country and I like what I do. My father always told me I have to contribute to the society. Like since I was little, this is what my dad always told me. Like, you have to do something. You have to do something to contribute to the society, to other people, help other people. Like that was the biggest thing. So being here, it just really, it's very rewarding because I'm helping other people like do better with their business and all that kind of stuff. And also I think a lot of students here, they learn English, but they don't really know how to speak English. Because you learn English to kind of like do well at school only. So, teaching is also fun. So I like being here. Yeah, but I do go back to Japan, our home to Japan, like about 2-3 times a year. Like you can see it on Instagram.
Thank you.